डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaskar. On behalf of School of Humanities and Social Sciences, I welcome you all for the Ph.D. coursework. So, I have been discussing about different topics of research work and how the research work is done, how the proposal is prepared, how the continuous work is to be done, field work is to be done, data collection is to be done. Today we are going to discuss about one of the very important topic or one of the very important type of research, that is action research. When we talk about social sciences and research work, it is very sensitive to touch the different aspects of social society, social aspects, social culture, social varieties of people, segments of people, and to study. When we talk about research, it is just not copy-paste. We all know that scientific research is to be done, whether it is social science, whether it is arts, humanities, any of the subjects or core topics we need to touch. Scientific research or science in social research is something what we have to start from the core or heart of a field. When we talk about research, it should be passionately done. The topic which you are doing, the subject which you want to take, the title which you are taking, all the things should be in connection with your heart and brain. When we talk about research or science, the touch of heart, emotions in social science is very much important, friends. And when we talk about action research, first let us go by name. What is action and what is research? Action is something what we are doing. हम जो कर रहे हैं, हम जो जी रहे हैं, उसको हमें संशोधन करके हमारे सोसाइटी में बाहर क्या आ रहा है उसके बारे में पता करना is social research, action research. We have to do something, we have to study something, we have to get something done, and then we find that whether it is successful, whether it is rightly done, whether it is wrongly done, or what are the core findings of the research to be done. Now, I'll not discuss about the different aspects or how the project work and everything is to be done because it is already been discussed in various sessions with you. Let us start with the action research part. Now, action research in social sciences, when we talk about, it has a human concern. Social sciences cannot be practiced in antiseptic laboratories under controlled conditions. It is social science, so no laboratory is required there. Now, according to Sachidanandji, in 2002, he quoted about social sciences that cannot be practiced in isolation from what is happening in the society. Society is something which is live. A committed social scientist is interested in what is happening in society as well as likely to happen and in what he thinks should happen. His trained observations and interpretations can affect the policy formulation. Why policy? Again, research, social science, and that's why policy is required. Unfortunately, there is a weak link between social research and their application in actual situations. Thus, it is essential to get involved in community work to plan, implement actions, and then a change. कुछ भी बदलाव तब आ सकता है. Action research is approach that aims for change as a consequence of action intervention. Action research is a natural way of acting and researching at the same time. You have to do something and you have to find something. It intends finding the solutions to local problems encountered by the researchers team. There's a team who has to find out the problem. It is executed as a natural cycle which achieves twin outcomes of action and research. Action research is not only usually comes to mind when we hear the word research. Action research is not a library project. It is not a one-room project where we can learn more topic that interests us. You have to go to the field. It is not a problem solving in the sense of trying to find out what is wrong, why it is wrong, but rather a quest for knowledge about how to improve. कैसे किसी चीज़ में बदलाव लाया जाए, change लाया जाए. Action research is not about doing research on or about people or finding available information on the topic, looking for the correct answers. Action research is not about learning why we do certain things. हम क्यों करते हैं, कैसे कर सकते हैं, क्यों उसको सुधारा जाए. It is a type of research that involves improving the situation of people by using different research techniques. Relevant techniques are to be used. So, let us go with the presentation along with the script or definition of the action research. What are we going to study in the continuous session of action research? These are the topics which we are going to discuss about action research. That includes the introduction of action research, some definitions of action research, importance of action research, graphical presentation, and few examples how action research is to be done, why it is to be done. So let us discuss what is action research first. The term action research was coined by Kurt Lewin in 1944 to describe a process of investigation and inquiry that occurs as action is taken to solve a problem. This is again a problem solving technique. When we talk about research, there should be a problem, there has to be some solution to it, and there has to be some practical implementation of the same. We use the term to describe a practice of reflective inquiry undertaken with the goal of improving understanding and practice. You might consider action to refer to the change you are trying to implement. Action क्या होता है? Action से हम कुछ बदलाव लाना चाहते हैं, उसको स्टडी करते, पहले वो एक्शन को स्टडी करना, एंड देन रिसर्च टू रेफर टू योर इम्प्रूव्ड अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द लर्निंग एनवायरनमेंट. क्या है? तो रिसर्च करके वी try to move to learning environment which is improved one, or which is a standard one, or set practice one. As the name suggests, action research is all about activity and action. The end result of an action project cycle is a decision about which actions you will start, stop, and continue within your practice to achieve a particular goal. Let us read some of the definitions of action research. What action research is defined, how it is defined when we talk about research and research methodology. Action research is a form of investigation designed for use by teachers to attempt to solve problems and improve professional practices in their own classrooms. Action research की बात करते हैं तो by the definition what we understand in the first line is कि it is a classroom setup. वो classroom setup में हम investigative practices से teachers जब बात करते हैं, every time in a classroom we find that there is a variety of groups of learners. Even in the society we find catered group of people who are there. Now, what improved practices, how to bring change about, what kind of practice can help them bring change about or improve their routine standards. For that, the research is to be done, for that, a study is to be done, and that is what action research defines by. It involves systematic observations and data collection, which can be then used by the practitioner research in reflection, decision making, and the development of more effective classroom. What does it say? That improved observations, data collection is to be done. Now, practitioner research is a terminology which we need to discuss later, but you have to remember this word when we talk about action research. It is done for development of different strategies as well as decision making. Now, the second definition says that action research is a fancy way of saying, let's study what's happening at our school and decide how to make it a better place. Action research is a natural part of teaching. Teachers can continually observing students, collecting data and changing practices to improve student learning and the classroom and the learning environment. Action research provides a framework that guides the energies of teachers towards a better understanding of why, when, and how students become better learners. Now, when we talk about action research emphasizes in what practitioners do on what they say they do. Action research combines theory as well as practice, as we discussed earlier, through change and reflection in an immediate problematic situation within a mutually understanding ethical framework. Now, let us discuss about the concept of action research. Now, as the name suggests, action research comprises of two components. We have to remember, one is action, the second one is research. It is a research. It is a strategy which combines research with the action and participation in the field. You have to do field work, which I am repeatedly saying in my talk. It is not research to be followed by action or research on action, but research as action. You have to act to study. According to Dick, action research can be described as a family of research methodologies which pursue action or change and research or understanding at the same time. In most of its form, it does this by using a cyclic or spiral process which alternates between action and critical reflection. In the later cycles, continuously refining methods, data, and interpretation in the light of the understanding developed in the earlier cycles. It is thus an emergent process which shape as understanding increases. It is a continuous process which converges towards a better understanding of what is happening, what happens continuously and gradually. Action research is a form of social research which aims at better insight in the problem by learning from the experience gained in the attempt to solve the problem. It is a form of social research which aims not only at better insight into the problem but also tries contribute in solving the social problem being investigated. The investigation of mean of action. This is a method of trying consciously to find out whether or not certain activities actually lead to results that was anticipated or that was expected. Stated that action research is a form of collective self-reflective inquiry undertaken by participants in social situations in order to improve their own social and educational practices, as well as their understanding of these practices and the situations in which practices are carried out. Now let us discuss about the origin of action research. Carl Levin, a German psychologist, is considered to be the father of action research. He first coined the term action research in 1946 in his paper Action Research and Minority Problems, characterizing action research as a comparative research on the conditions and effects of various forms of social action and research, leading to the social action. Using a process of a spiral of steps, each of which is composed of a circle of planning, action, evaluation, and fact finding about the result of the action. Now, when we talk about fact finding or findings, what is the preliminary phase? When we talk about management also, when we talk about planning also, any kind of planning or activity, what we need to do is first we have to plan, we have to brief, we have to implement, we have to act, and then we go to the findings, or then we go to the methodology part of the research work, where we have to continuously collect the data, continuously observe what we have planned, what we have done, and this in the similar way, the action or the research which we intend to do is propagated or done or not, that we have to find out. Action research as compared to conventional research. Now, why conventional research is differentiated from action research? The normal position of the researcher is detached, scientific standings, outside events, and diligently recording them. A number of methods can be questionnaire, focus group, interviews, observations, etc. But it is generally the researcher who controls data gathering for purposes that affect the research rather than the participants, conditions, or welfare. In other words, the subjects are passive in research as they may either be unaware of being watched or the unconcerned about the data used by their interview or the survey, that they don't know what is happening. So they have to fill up and they have to go by. But in action research, people are not just subjects, but partners in the research process. The research arises not out of a question from an external individual, but as a shared process of the reflection between the researcher and the participant. The participants or the community members help gather data related to their own problems because it is their problem to be discussed, their problem to be understood, and then the findings or research is to be done. So the results of the research are shared with the community members for improvement of their action. Now, before going to the applications of the study, let us discuss that action research is an iterative process involving researchers and practitioners acting together on a particular cycle of activities. Now, just before a second, we discussed that conventional research and action research is different, because in conventional research, you are trying to grill a particular person or your samples, and those samples respond to what you exactly expect or what you want them to answer about for a particular problem or a topic. Where in action research, what happens is you have to make them act, you have to make them do, you have to make them perform certain activities, in which activities they have to give the result what is expected or what is not expected. So how this three-stage works in action research? So first, for the research project or proposal, you have to diagnose a problem. So first you have to find out what the problem is. Then action intervention is required, where you have to plan what is to be done, how you are going to perform, why this research is required, and why you have to perform with the problem, how you have to deal with it. And then reflective learning. Reflective learning is what is the outcome of the problem diagnosed, action suggested by you, and what is the outcome of it. Now the outcomes can be experimented 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It is not always correct that once you have diagnosed the problem, first action what you have given should give a proper outcome. You have to experiment or try with 3, 4, 5 actions, and the best suited outcome will be your reflective learning. Because action research is done by you, the practitioner, it is often referred to as a practitioner research, or a similar name such as practitioner-led or practitioner-based research. I was talking to you about practitioner as well as researchers. At time it happens that practitioner and researcher is the one and common person. At time it can be different. So they are called as practitioner-led or practitioner-based research. It is a form of research which can be undertaken by people in any context, regardless of their status or position. For action research, it is not just said that a particular category, cadre of people are to be involved in. Anyone can be involved for practical and action research. It involves you thinking carefully about what you are doing. So it can be also called a kind of self-reflective practice. It is a self-reflective practice because you are trying to find out what you are doing. You are trying to find out what a particular segment or a group of people are doing. The idea of self-reflection is central. Why it is central? Why we call it as central? Because of this particular idea or this particular implementation, you are involving different group of people. You are involving different group of samples which you have taken as your research study, or you have taken it as a practitioner along with you. In traditional forms of research, researchers do research on their people. In action research, researchers do research on themselves too, maybe in a company or institution with other people, and those others are doing the same. Where an action research can be done, this statement talks about it. The action research can be done on the same community of people, on your own self, or with a company, with an institution, or people who are performing similar kind of activity or similar kind of function which is done by them. No distinction is made between who is researcher and who is practitioner, because everyone is involved in the research. Everyone is doing the research together. It is just not that one person is studying, the 2 or 3 people are doing, and the person who is researching is just observing. It is something like learning by doing. When we call learning by doing, it is called practicing by doing. You have to perform a task and then you have to go to the findings of it. Traditional researchers inquire into other people's lives and speak about people as data. That is called data collection. When we talk about these people or their activities is data. Action researchers inquire into their own lives and speak with other people as colleagues. Now, after this background of action research, let us discuss about application of action research. Action research is used in real situations, real life situations, rather than in contrived experimental studies, since its primary focus is solving a problem in a circumstance. It is chosen when circumstances require flexibility, the involvement of the people in the research, or the change must take place quickly or holistically. It is often the case that who apply this approach are practitioners, like teachers, who wish to improve understanding of the practice, and the social change activists trying to mount an action campaign. Action research approaches have frequently been explored as means of identifying strategies for curriculum. It is used for curriculum when we talk about education in any institution. Aiming to enhance widening participation, one institute carried out a project that sought to develop a framework how that afforded faculty members with insight necessary to inform effective curriculum designing. Basically, they have experimented action research when it was introduced. It was introduced and then it was implemented or started with schools, colleges, or educational institutions. In more confined arena, action research is used to evaluate attempts to introduce critical pedagogies in teaching into higher education and settings. Again, educational setup is there. You have started doing research, action research with these kind of setups, and then we have tried to implement it in a practical forum. However, as action research in the context of teacher education and individual teaching practice is predominantly used in technical and practical manner. It is a practical research that we all know, rather than emancipatory, often focusing on first person practitioner research aimed at improving individual learning practices. You have to focus on individual learning. So when we talk about practicing or learning, it is individual learning or a simple significant group of learning. Now, why action research? Why this is done? Kumar said that action research is done for either improvement of any practice or for creating a social change. Social change, we all know, is a must in today's life. It is to focus on the development of practitioners' own practices. You have to learn, you have to bring change, you have to improve and then work. Action research improves teaching, learning, research. How? Through collaborative practices. That is why action research is done. Above all, it aims at collaborating through participation. Collaboration through participation is important. Empowerment of participants, acquisition of knowledge, and that brings to social change. Why action? Again and again talking about why action. Why action means repetitive tasks. Repetitive tasks will help you to perform a duty again and again that involves you. Learning by doing is a performance, is a practice which compels you to do something. When I'm asked to do something, what happens is I will be reluctant for a period of time. I will not try to continuously do. If we are in a proper routine, when we do something, we come to office, we go to school, we have 3 to 4 lectures we have to attend compulsory, or we have to give lectures compulsory. What happens is we are used to a practical and routine lifestyle. Now if we are asked that you have to use computer or you have to use some advanced technology and adopt that technology and do your duties, immediate human psychology says that we become reluctant to such kind of tasks given to us. So what happens? First phase of any kind of social change or implementation of any practices is very negative. But when we are compelled by saying that you are going to get studied, you are used as a sample, you are used as a data, and we want to find out what is happening, how it works, whether you are comfortable doing this kind of activity or whether you are not comfortable doing these kind of activities. They are conscious about genuinely doing what they are asked to do. They are conscious about the task given to them. They want how this task is important. They will learn how it is to be done, because now it's a matter of their own identity. So once a group is introduced with a system, they will definitely try to learn. They will definitely try to implement in a proper way, which can give us a positive result, which makes us know whether the task is done completely, whether it is successful, whether the change which we expected or desired before implementing, is that change expected desired outcome there or not. So for that also, it is very much important to involve people and participants, and those participants will bring about change what is expected from us. Now let us talk about the categories of action research. What kind of action researches are to be done, can be done when we talk research, action research, how it is to be done. So as per a survey in 1997 on action research covering business, education, engineering, health, care, public service, action research was categorized into 4 different categories. There are various categories we'll discuss about, but first we discuss about the core categories. Core action research, how it is done, by what we were talking, that it brings change, it brings reflection, it brings social changes, practices can be changed, technology adoption can be done through action research. So what fields? So if we see in the PPT, we can definitely understand that in every field, every human field, every social sciences field, which includes business, education, engineering, health, care, public services, any kind of social or societal changes are to be done. Every corner, every field, action research is of very much useful. We can adopt action research as a part of research methodology, and we can perform action research to bring about change what is desired. Now, categories of action research. Action science trying to resolve conflicts between espoused and applied theories. What is it? Applied theory or a applied spouse, which is to be conflicted, and that conflict can be changed. The second one is participatory action research, and the third one is action learning for programmed instruction and experimental learning. So, when we talk about categories, we need to understand first that what kind of researches or research practices are to be involved while talking about the action research. So, in this particular lecture, what we studied or what we found is what basically action research is, how action research is done, why action research is done, what is the importance or significance of action research, why people have started adopting action research, and what can be the categories of action research. In the forthcoming classes, we'll discuss in detail about the types and categories of action research. In these, the last topic which we touched was the 4 aspects in which the action research was compiled, where it can be done, how it can be done, or what different sections can be prepared or made for conducting an action research. So I think this was a fruitful lecture and a fruitful session on the basic meaning of action research. Thank you.